Hello, I wanted to come on and show you how I made this calendar. So I put this together yesterday and I'm going to show you how to make it. So I love sunflowers, and I've been looking for a sunflower calendar for probably since last year in December, but I couldn't find, I had one from last season. So this is the one I had from last year. And as you can see, it's a small calendar. And I just had it hung up in my wall in my sewing studio. So I was looking I would have even used a larger one, like a regular size one, but I couldn't even find a large one that had sunflowers or really anything that I really liked. I used to buy Ann Geddes calendars, and they might have those. I might stop by the mall just to see if they have her calendars. But yeah, the few places that I checked at were, I believe I passed by calendars in Meyer, and it seems like there were a couple places too that I saw calendars, and I think Joann's has calendars, and yeah, so just a couple of places that I checked at, and they didn't have any calendars that I really liked. So I went online first I checked YouTube to see if I saw any ideas that I really liked, and I saw a couple ideas, and then I went to Pinterest and I saw an idea that I was thinking, oh yeah, this is doable. Like one video I watched, it was a cool, really neat wood calendar. It was actually this set on your desktop, but he put it together with like real wood pieces. Like it was like a production. It was like super kind of high tech for me. So I just wanted something simple with my sunflowers that I could hang up in my sewing studio. So I saw the idea, like I said, on Pinterest, and it was something similar to this. Had a little piece of wood, and then I'll pop up a picture because I can't remember exactly how it looked, but I know it was something similar to this. So this is what I'm going to show you how to make. So I'll let you know the tools that I used, but you can improvise. So first of all, I bought a piece of wood. I got this from Joann Fabrics. It was actually 3 times larger than this, but my husband cut it up for me. So I have 3 separate pieces of wood. Hooks are another thing that you're going to need, and these are, you can get whatever size you want, but these are 7/8, and I think I got these from maybe Joann Fabrics? I can't remember. Yeah, I got these from Joann Fabrics also. You'll also need just a marking tool. This is just a Sharpie marker. You're going to need a hole puncher. I also used a hot glue gun, and I have some twine. I also have some cardstock, and this is just in a off-white. And these are just regular letter size. And you'll also need a printer and a computer. I have a Mac, so the software program that I'm using is KEYNOTE, but you probably can use, KEYNOTE comes with Apple products, but you can probably use PowerPoint because KEYNOTE is basically just a presentation software, but you can use whatever you want, I guess, but this is just what I'm using. Yeah, so I'm going to pop over to my computer. So now we're going to pop into KEYNOTE. So this is just a sample of what I did, so you can kind of see it how it looks, and then this is just a plain one if you want to do something plain. But we're going to start with a blank slate, I'll walk you through how I turn this blank canvas into my calendar. I already had a file or a project started already from last night, but I wanted to show you the size of this file that I have, or this sheet, the size of this sheet. So if you go over to the right where it says document, you can click that, and it shows you the slide size. So this is 768 by 1024, and if you wanted to change the size, you could just either select one of these, the standard size for a presentation or the widescreen, or you can go down to custom slide size, and then you can just type in the size that you want and then click OK. And once you change the slide size, it'll change all of the slide sizes. So like the whole presentation will be the same. So I did my sunflower calendar, and I just pulled it together really quickly. But this one I'm going to play around with a different idea. I'm going to do a 2022 Year of the Tiger calendar, since this is my year basically. I was born in 1974, and that's one of the years that is the Year of the Tiger. So we're going to pull in some images from Google and also a calendar template. So how I started was by adding a couple shapes. So this is just a round circle, as you can see, and I'm going to leave it black, but it really doesn't matter. But I'm going to change the size of it. But before I maneuver it here, because I could just pull in one of the corners or one of these little boxes to make it larger, but it's not going to keep the round shape that I want. So how to keep the shape of something that you bring in, you go to arrange and you click this constrain proportions, and that'll keep it from changing proportions. So now I can just move it, make it bigger or smaller just by moving one of these little corners. And I'll make this kind of small. Let's go down to 35 should be good. And then I'm going to duplicate it by just right-clicking on it and going down to duplicate. And so now I have two circles. So I'm going to bring these up here. And it's just kind of random where you place them. You can place them wherever you want, but this seems to be a good place to put them, about an inch in. And then as you can see, when I was moving it, that line came in. So that's letting you know that they're both lined up. So they'll be like the perfect distance, the same distance from the top. Next, I'll want to throw in a year. So you go up to text, and it gives you the text box. And how you change it is you just click into it or double click in it. And then I'm just going to type 222. So I want to make this a lot larger. And I'm going to double click inside it and double click it again to select it. And then I'll go up here, over here, under text, and I'm also under format, by the way. And then I'm going to change the size. I'm going to go with 100 first and see how big it is. And I want to change the text, so I'm going to change it to impact. And I'm going to move it up to the top. And you can just line it up wherever you want. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just whatever you feel is a good placement. So now I'm going to drop in another text for the month. And I'm going to double click inside it to change it. And then I'll start typing. So now I have my month, but I want to change the font. So you go over here to fonts and you can select whatever font you want. So I'm just going to go down, scroll down a little bit and select I guess I'll use Hey Girl again. I'll see how that looks. I might change it though. And then it's already selected inside. You can see it's like a peach color or a tan color. So the font is actually selected. So I can just go over here and change the size again. And I'm gonna do 100 again. And then I usually tab to get it to activate. And that looks pretty good, but I want to kind of spread the letters, give it a little more spacing. So you come over here to this little reel or whatever it is, and you click the little arrow next to it, and then where it says character spacing is where you can put in a different number so that your letters are a little more spaced out. Or you can just click the up arrow or the down arrow to see which font or which spacing works best for you. So 3% looks pretty good, maybe 4. And then I'm going to take that and drag it up here. So next I'll throw in the actual calendar here. So I'm going to go over to Google and type in calendar. And then I'm going to select images so I can get a series of calendars. And just randomly, I'll just select this one. It's a printable calendar. And I'm going to open this calendar up and select on January calendars. So here's the different models you can use. So just pick whichever one you like. I'm going to use this one. So I just select it and then I'm going to download it. So once I download it, I'll just click on the download to open it. And now I have my calendar. So I'm just going to select it and right click on it to copy it. And then I'll go back over to KEYNOTE and drop it in. So as you can see, it has the month, the year, all the different details, but I don't want all of these details. I just basically want this body piece with the numbers, the days of the week and the actual days on the calendar. So how I get rid of this extra stuff, I go over to image and then I select edit mask. So then this little box comes up and it allows you to basically crop this image so that you only have the information that you want. So I'm just going to grab this little box here and select it, hold it down, and then bring the mouse down to get rid of the January. And then I'm going to come over to this box on the right side and I'm going to get rid of these lines by selecting it, holding the mouse down and bringing it over. And then I don't want this little description at the bottom either, so I'm going to take this bottom box and move it up. And that's it. You just select done And now all I have is my calendar. And this is all I want. So to change it, you first have to, because I want to determine the size I want, and I want it to stretch from each edge, from the right side and the left side. So I have it selected. You can see that I have it selected by the boxes around it. So I'm going to go over to Arrange, and I'm going to deselect the constrained proportions. So now I'm going to bring it where I want it, and then I'm going to slide this down to put it, to make it the size that I want. So now, and you can either make this as big or as small as you want, which is how the example that I first showed you was. But I'm going to bring this down a little bit by about here. And it's just a guesstimate, and each month doesn't have to be the same either, because you'll only see the month that it's on when your calendar is actually hanging on the wall, if that makes sense. Okay, so now, like I said, I want this to be kind of like a Year of the Tiger calendar. So I'm going to go over to Google again and type in Year of the Tiger. And so now I have all of these images. And I basically can select whatever image I want. So let's start off. I'll start off with this one. I just randomly pick whatever images that I like, of course. So I'll right click the image that I want, go down to copy image, then go back into Keynote, and then paste it here. So now I have my image. Of course, it's not the size that I want, but before I resize it, I want it to go behind these letters, behind the year and the month that I have right here. Or if you wanted to just leave it there, you could, or resize it here so that it's not taking up the room of the month and the year. You could do that also. And it might actually work better if you left it smaller, if you don't want to cover up the tiger, but we'll see how it looks first. So first I'm going to deselect the constrained proportions because I am going to resize this. And then I also want to send this back because like I said, I want the year and the month on top of the image. So I have the image selected. As you can see, the boxes are around the image. And I'm going to go over here and select back so that it goes behind my year and the month. And as you can see over here, I have this view selected, which is the navigator view. I like to see all the details on the side. So when I selected go to the back, it brought it all the way down. So this is the bottom layer. So I'm going to bring it over here to the top. Just at the corner, and then I'm going to drag it over how I want it. So like I said, it's covering up the tire, and I'm not sure I like that, but I'm going to just reposition this. I'm just going to reposition my numbers and my month. So I'm going to bring that down, and then I'm going to bring my year up to the top. And I'm also going to make my year just a bit smaller by selecting it. I double click on it, and then I'm going to just drop it down a little bit so it's not covering up the letters on my image. So that looks pretty good. or I could get rid of the year altogether since the year is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and send this to the back. So I'm going to send it back by going over here to arrange and then selecting back. So now it disappears from my presentation or my calendar. And then I can just go ahead and print it like this. But before that, I want to add some things to my calendar, like birthdays and anniversaries or whatever things I want to remember. So my brother's birthday is in January. It's January 15th. And I want to put his birthday here. I want to write his name here. So I'm going to add text again by going up here to the top and selecting text. So now I have a new text. I'm going to select it and type in George. And then I'll just drag his name over to the month that I want it to, the day of the month that I want his birthday to appear on. And I can change the font. Let's see, I'll change the font by double selecting it or by double clicking it. And then I'll come over here again under text and select a font that I like. And this is just random, but let's go with, I'll go with Sunrise Minimalist. And it's kind of small, so I want it to be a little bigger. So I'm going to go over here to make it a little bigger. 35 seems to be big enough. All right, and now it looks pretty good. You can make whatever changes you want or add whatever birthdays or events to the calendar that you want on it. But even if you forget something, you can always just write it on there after you put your calendar together. So I'm going to go ahead and print this. So now my print preview comes up, and it looks like it's in the landscape mode. You can change it from landscape to portrait, and I do want it to be on portrait mode. So I'm going to select my printing or my page attributes and put it on portrait. With KEYNOTE, whenever you select print, it's going to print everything unless you select what you want to print. So I don't want these other pages to print. I just want this one to print. So I'm just going to select selection. But if I wanted to print all of my pages, I would just go down to type in the pages that I wanted to print or the page range that I wanted to print. So I just want the one, and I'm just going to go ahead and print it. So one thing I wanted to mention when you are bringing in months, is to compare it to an actual calendar. It's because I deleted the name of the month. You'll just want to double check to make sure you've actually carried over the right month. So let's do another month. Let's do February. So I'm just going to come over here. The first one is already selected, number 1. So if you right click it, you can just come down to duplicate, and it'll just duplicate that image that you had selected. So now I'm going to just go ahead and delete this image because I don't want to use the same image for February. And I'm going to come over here, move my month and year around, and I'm going to change this to February. Okay, and I can delete this year, and I'll just drag this name over because I can still use that for other events for February. I'm going to come over to my images and see what image I want next. Ooh, I like this one. So I'm going to right click on it and copy it. Jump back over to KEYNOTE and drop it in. I'm going to resize it by undoing the constrained proportions. And kind of put it in place. And then I'm going to send this to the back. So now it's kind of covering up my tiger. So I'm going to rearrange these by bringing my February down here and then bringing my year over here too. And then I also want to change the color of these. I think I'm going to do, maybe I'll do white. Let's try white. So if you come over here under text and come down to where it says text color, you can just click in the down arrow and select whatever color image you want. Or if you don't like any of these colors, you can select the reel. And you can pick whatever color you want in the reel. And you can also change it to be like a specific color. So if you click on this dropper and bring it over to a color that you want. So let's say I want a gold color. I want my font to match the image. I can just click on the image, and whatever color in the image I like, I can just select it. So now it's the same color as my actual image. For the 2022, let me see what color I want for that. I think I'm just gonna maybe try a white. Let's see how that looks. No, I'm not really feeling the white, so I'm going to go over here to the reel and select the dropper and change it to the gold. I think I'm going to make that 2022 smaller also. Since you can actually see it here anyway. I'm going to bring that down some, like here. All right, now I want to get the calendar. So I'm going to go back over to Google and I'm going to select February calendars. And I'm going to select the same style as January, but you don't have to, because all we're getting from the calendar is the actual grid. So I'm going to download that now and copy it over and jump back over to KEYNOTE and paste it in KEYNOTE. So once again, I'm going to resize this by removing constraints, and then I'm going to go to images and I'm going to take out the information that I don't want. All right, so I don't want the lines, I don't want the information at the top, and I don't want the website. And I just click done. And because I've already removed the constraints, I can just go ahead and resize it. And it's basically done. So let's say I want to add Valentine's Day for February. So I'll just bring this back over and as you can see, it disappeared. So what you want to do is go over to under format, go under arrange, and throw it to the back or throw it to the front. And there it is. So now it's at the top and I can actually see it. And to change it to Valentine's Day, I'll double click it and just type. And say I want to justify it, I'll just go ahead and select it again, the whole text, and come over here under format, under the text tab, and I'll just select left justify. And you can play around with whatever you want here, the line spacing, the size of it, if you want it to be like a different color, if you want like a heart for that day, that'll be cute. Let's try putting a heart in there. So up here, you can just go up to shapes, and it has all of these different shapes, and you can scroll down and see what images you want. They have all kind of different images that you can select, or you can go up here and type it and see if there's something, and there is. So there's my heart. So as you can see, the heart just dropped in and it's black. So let's say I want to change it to a red heart. It's already selected. I'm going to go over here to style, and then I'm going to go over here to the color fill and select red. So now my heart is red. And I also want to size it a little smaller. And I'm going to drag it right over here. There. So now February is basically done. I don't think I know any birthdays in February, but like I said, whatever events or birthdays you want to add, you can always add it later. So that's February. All right, so now I'm going to do one more month, and then I'm going to show you how to assemble it. So I'm going to copy this one. So this slide is selected. I'm going to duplicate it. So now I have another February, and I want to make this March. So it's selected. I'm going to move my information off and delete February, so I don't forget that it's the same month information as February. And I'll go ahead and delete my image. I'm going to go ahead and change my month to March. And then I'm going to jump back over to Google and see the images. So March is my birthday month, and I'm debating if I want to still do the year of the tiger for my birthday, or you know what? So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do something a little differently for March. I'm going to drop in some photos. So I'm going to open my photos. And pick some photos that I like. So as you can see, I have a lot of photos that I like of myself. Let's see. I'm going to pick this one, so I'm going to select it, and then I'm just going to do a Command C to copy it. I'm going to pop back over to KEYNOTE, and then I'm going to drop it in there by pasting it. So now you can see it took up the whole sheet, the whole calendar. And that's easy to fix because I want it a lot smaller. So I'm just going to grab one of these corners and bring it really small and drag it up top. And I want to throw in a border, like a photo border. So I'm going to come over under Format in the Style tab, and I'm going to select Picture Frame. So now it gives me a frame, and I just kind of like that aesthetic to my pictures. And you can make the border smaller or larger by moving the scale button. We're just going to leave it at 100, and you can also do whatever other adjustments that you want. And I'm also going to I want to tilt it a little bit. So the way to tilt a picture or an image is to go up to one of the corners, click and hold Command. So you can see that the arrow changed to a double arrow and it's kind of curved. So if I click on my mouse, I'm going to left click on my mouse to hold it, and then I'm going to drag it a little bit, turn it however I want. So I'm just basically rotating it, and you can do it either way. It'll turn as much as you want. So I'm just going to tilt it a little bit. Another way to tilt it is to go over to Arrange, and you can rotate it by either selecting this, or you can click on the up and down arrow. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to bring it over a little bit, and I want it to clear my little dot. So that's pretty good. And let's say I think I want this image. So I'm going to copy this image over, pop back over to KEYNOTE, and I'm going to drop it in. So this, as you can see, it's not transparent. It doesn't have like the background, but you can change that because I kind of want it to disappear without the actual white box around it, if that makes sense. So let me make it a little bigger, and it's already selected. So to get rid of this white box around it, you're going to go over to Image, and you're going to click the Instant Alpha. So this is how you make an image basically transparent. So you just hover your mouse over. So as you can see, I just have my pointer over the image, and I'm in the white part. I'm going to click on the left arrow and hold it and kind of move it around until the white part disappears. There, it's gone. But there's still some white part here, and I want to get rid of that too. I want that to be transparent also. So I'm going to click in I'm going to click in the white part, left click on my mouse again and hold it, and drag it a little bit, and then I think that's done. Let's see. I'm going to grab it a little bit, and I think that should be done. So now you can see that little space there is not white anymore. So you can put it over anything. So I'm going to make that bigger. Then I'm going to tilt it a little bit. maybe, I think I'm going to bring my information up here. So I think I like that. Maybe straighten it up some. Yeah, that looks good. Now I'm going to go back over to my calendar and I'm going to select the March calendar. And I still want the same style, so I'm going to click on the March and download it and open it. Right click on it to select it, copy it over, go back over to Keynote and paste it. So if you wanted to leave this information on there, you could. You could actually resize it so that maybe this part drops off by, let me turn off my constraints first. So let's say I wanted to just widen it and get rid of the to-do list. You could just by resizing it. And then you still have the month and the year on your calendar. And if you wanted to get rid of this part, you can just resize it so that it drops off the actual calendar. Hopefully that makes sense. So if you wanted to print it like this, you could. But I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did with the other months. And I'm going to edit mask and remove the month and year, the to-do list, and the website. So it just disappears all the way. And I can make my calendar a little larger. So my birthday is March 14th. So I'm going to bring back over my text that I had from February. You have to be careful when you're selecting images. So it disappeared, so I want to bring it back to the front, but I can't see it. Well, all I have to do is go over here and click Valentine's Day, because that's the text that I can't see anymore. And now it's selected again. But I want it to be on the top. So I can take this and hold it and drag it up top so that it's up on the top. Or, like I did before, I can go over here under Arrange and bring it all the way forward. So now I'm going to just type in my name. And I'm going to make my name a little bigger because I'm special. And so there's my name. And I want to, let's see if there's a birthday cake up here. I'll type in cake and I have 2 images of cakes. So I'm going to just bring that one over by selecting it, and now I have my cake. I'm going to make it a little smaller and drag it down here. And I think I want to change the color of my cake. Let's see what I want to change it to. I'll change it to yellow. So now I have my yellow cake. And what I'm going to do is make it bigger so that it kind of fills in the whole square. But I want my name on top. So I could either take this and drag it down one, or I can come over to Arrange and send it, instead of sending it all the way back, I can just send it one layer back by clicking on backward. And now I have my name on top of my cake. I want to kind of reposition my name though, so I'll select it and kind of move it around a little bit. You can also move either text or images by using the arrow keys. So now it's in a pretty good spot. I like the way that looks. And now I can just go ahead and print it. So I'm going to go ahead and print these 3 months, and then I'm going to show you how to assemble the calendar. So to print, I'm just going to do a Control P. And now it's showing all 5 pages, but I only want to print the first 3. So I loaded my printer with my cardstock, and you can print this on regular paper if you want, but I'm using cardstock in an off-white color, and I'm going to select 1 to 3. But if you're making a full calendar, of course you'll want to print all 12 pages. And then I'm going to also go here and click the down arrow to select page attributes so that I can rotate it to portrait mode. And I'm going to just go ahead and print. I'm going to plug up my heat gun while I wait for my sheets to print. Okay, so I have my sheets printed. January, February, and March. So you can see how well they printed or not. And you can see how big the circles are. They're kind of, you can make them smaller or larger, but I could have made those a little smaller, but it's okay. So I'm just going to, let me let you see how, look how the Valentine's Day showed up. And here's my birthday month. So I think that came out pretty good. Alright, so I'm just going to use my hole puncher to punch the holes in. I have my holes in. Now I'm going to mark my piece of wood. And how I do that, so my wood is just a little shorter than my actual pages, but that's okay. You can cut the sides of it, of the sheet, or you can just let it be larger. So as you can see with the one I did, it doesn't really make a difference. So I'm just going to take my piece of wood and kind of line it up or center it, and take my marker, line it up to the hole, and just put a little mark on the wood. And then make sure you don't move it. Go over to the other dot and mark that side. So now I'm going to take my hooks and I'm just going to screw it into the wood. And because these have rivets already, you kind of got to give it a little head start, but you just keep turning and pushing while you're turning. It doesn't seem like it's going down, but if you just keep moving it, or maybe try it this way, get it started. It's going in. It's just being a little stubborn. Okay, it's finally grabbing on. So you just keep twisting. You can actually twist it all the way down in there, and that's good. And I'm gonna just go ahead and do the other one. These do not want to go in. You might need to put a hole in it first just to get it started, because these seem really stubborn. I didn't have nearly as much problem with this last night when I just put it together randomly. But of course, now that I've decided to film it, it's being a donkey. Alright, it's finally caught. Alright. Okay, so my hooks are finally in. So just to make sure they're in the right place, I'm gonna put my pages on there. And there it is. So we're almost done. So I'm going to take that back off, and then I'm going to cut a little piece of twine. And I'm just guesstimating how long I want it to hang down. And then I'll just cut it. And now I'm just going to glue it to the back of my piece of wood. So just make sure you're on the back. My gun should be nice and hot now. It took me so long to get those screws in. I'm just going to put a little glue on the edge and put my twine there just to make it stick. And then I'm going to put a little on the other side and make sure that sticks. I'm going to put a little extra glue on top of it, kind of like to hold it down, make sure it stays. It holds my calendar up. So I'm just going to put some glue on top of it and like all the way around it. So my glue is in place. I'm just going to let that dry for a few minutes. Once the glue has set for a few minutes, it should be good. It should be able to hold a couple of sheets of paper. So I'm going to go ahead and put my sheets back on. And there it is. And you can just hang it wherever you want. And then when the month is over, you just take the sheets off and move the previous month to the back. So we're in February now, so let's just put my February one on. So we're going to turn it to February. Look how pretty it looks. Isn't that pretty? You see the Valentine's Day. That is so cute. Alright, and now all you have to do is hang it on your wall. I hope you enjoyed this video of how to make your very own personalized calendar. I love mine, and I'm so excited about making my own DIY calendars going forward. Alright, bye!